It's amazing the kind of things that our founder, that Father Moon, has done. And it's important on the anniversary of his death and remembering his life that we remember these incredible accomplishments, who he was and what he accomplished in the world. But in addition to that, we need to also bring it home, right? So how are we going to be headwing people, Godism, and bringing peacemakers? So I want to just conclude with a couple of points from all the activities. If you think about what Father Moon was doing and his effort to bring about this kind of change, how does it apply to us? So the first point is we need to have a clear understanding. We need to understand. This is why Father Moon invested all this money and energy in educating people so they would have a clear perspective and understanding so they could overcome the challenges. This is why victory over communism teaching and teaching Godism and the divine principle is so important. One of our main missions in our church is education. So again, I encourage you to join us some Saturdays. Yesterday we had a great discussion about the spiritual world. We had someone from the Latter-day Saints was here, and we had a great dialogue just to hear and to understand their perspective on what happens after we die. And also we got into all kinds of interesting things about, well, what about our ancestors and lineage? And we heard about Japanese culture and Native American culture. And it was really, it's interesting. But the purpose of this kind of discussion, exploration, is that we can ground ourselves. We can have an understanding that gives us power. When we have a clear understanding, we're not confused when we're confronted with a situation. We can think, well, what's the principled response to this issue? I'm dealing with this problem. Well, what's God's perspective? What's a principled perspective for this challenge? Every aspect and challenge that we're facing in our lives. Here's what Father Moon had to say. Father Moon says, without the divine principle, it would have been impossible to present a counter-proposal to communism, let alone to overcome it. So, by what means could we overcome communism? It was through Godism. What is Godism? It is the way of true love, trying to give life again and again and yet again. The philosophy of living for the sake of others. What can I do in my life that benefits other people? How can I have a divine principle perspective? How can I understand from God's point of view about my brothers and sisters? It's not just my enemy. That's my brother, my sister on the other side. Having a clear understanding is why we need ourselves to commit to regular study, to nurture our minds, to cultivate that perspective, divine principle perspective. By having that understanding, then we have the foundation for the second step, which is to be able to stand strong in front of bullies. There's a lot of talk these days about the problem of bullying. People getting bullied all the time. So, communism was a world-level bully. Bullied people. It's like gave people a hard time. We needed to have a good understanding of the truth. This is why Father Moon kept emphasizing we need to teach Godism so people have an understanding that they can resist and address the problems of that. And it's not just at that world level of communism. In our lives, we have people coming at us with all kinds of bad ideas that they make it sound really good. Oh man, you just invest this money and your life will be like a breeze. Oh, that sounds good, but something feels a little fishy. Well, if we have a principled understanding, we think, well, what's the principled perspective? Oh, yeah, I'm making money because I'm stealing from people? Well, I don't think I'm going to go there. I don't think I'm going to go there. Here's what Father Moon says. Father Moon says, those who have sound minds, okay, let's work on our minds, right? That is, healthy minds can take in anything mentally, be it democracy, communism, or any other system of thought. Then, what is the way of thinking of the Unification Church is following? It's Unificationism, Godism, the divine principle. So, let's work on having those sound minds, right? Being able to stand strong. When we're confident in what we know, then it's easy to stand up against bullies. People who want to push us to go somewhere that we know we don't want to go, but how do I get out of this situation? You know, if we have a strong mind and a clear understanding, then we can get out of those situations. We can stand strong. We don't mind if they accuse us or they call us names or whatever. I'm clear on who I am. I know who I am. I know my relationship with God. And you can call me whatever you want. I know who I am. And so bullies lose their power that way. Father Moon often would stand up to the bully of communism, like those rallies I spoke about, that Yoedo rally that's getting 1.1 million people out there saying, we're not going to stand up, we're not going to take it from the communists in North Korea. Or when they had these rallies, what was the declaration, the determination to win over communism in 1983. You know, this is basically standing up, making a strong stand, you know, for who I am and what I believe. And then on that foundation, our goal, though, is not just to beat up the bad guy. Our goal is what the divine principle calls voluntary surrender through love. Father Moon often says, you have to get Satan to willingly surrender to you. You have to get Satan to say, look, I've thrown everything I can at you, all the temptations I could think of. I surrender. You win. You know, I couldn't tempt you. So you win. So sometimes he even says, you know, when you go to the spirit world, go to heaven, the person who's going to testify in your favor is Satan. Because Satan comes before God and says, look, I tempted him here. You know, I got him a little bit there, but, you know, in the end, he restored that. You know, he fought, you know, he made the mistake. I got him here, but you know what? After he made that mistake, he went through and he paid the price to fix it. He worked hard to correct things. He says, so, yeah, I have to let go of him. I can't claim him. This is what we need, genuine surrender. Now, this idea of voluntary surrender through love, it also has practical applications in our lives, too, when we're talking about dealing with, you know, people that we're arguing with or people that we have disagreements with. We win not by beating them. We win when they become our friend. Here's how Father Moon describes it. And this is actually from the Divine Principle, talking about how we're going to build that ideal world. And he says this, the ideal world can never be built merely by defeating the enemy in battle. Sometimes when in our relationships with people, we're in a battle. Oh, I'm right, you're wrong, right? That's the kind of battle we're in. We can't win ultimately if we just defeat them. The Divine Principle says afterwards they have to be brought into submission internally. Their heart has to change. That everyone can be reconciled and rejoice sincerely from the bottom of their hearts. How can unification, this now Father Moon's talking in a speech, he says, how can unification be achieved? If we think about our relationships, how do we unite with someone that we're having problems uniting with? Can you bring it about by brute force? You know, as parents, a lot of times we were doing that. You know, we educate our kids, you know, by brute force. This is my way, you do it or you're getting punished, right? And for young kids, that's an appropriate strategy because they're not mature enough, they're still growing, they need that kind of control. But for them to truly become adults, they need to, of their own will, voluntarily submit. And how are you going to get them to do that? It says it can never be achieved by brute force. So no matter how much we punish them, especially when they get older, right? Not one person will be brought around to take part in the process of unification forcibly. So then how should we go about it? How can we make that happen? The answer is to live altruistically, to give that which is most precious, love, life, and lineage. Those actually carrying out this activity are Unification Church members. Oh, so Father Moon's bragging on us. I hope we're really fulfilling that, right? How can unification be brought about and through what ideology? It's through Godism or the way of the true parent, which is also the Headwing thought. So here you have Godism, the way of true parents, and Headwing. This is the kind of perspective that we need to cultivate if we're going to be truly people who can bring harmony and unity, especially in difficult circumstances and situations. We've often talked about in unification teachings the challenge that we have of restoring the same pattern of Cain and Abel, right? Cain in the Old Testament, who was jealous and angry, and Abel, who was a little bit arrogant. The way that relationship is restored is through the person who has the blessing, an able position, uses that blessing to genuinely love and serve. Now, Father Moon, he got the Soviet Union to open their doors to us. Now, imagine if he tried to force the way. He tried to get the United Nations to pass a resolution that says, Soviet Union, you have to open it up and you have to let these media people in. He'd just say, ha! Forget you. I'm not going to do that. And you can't make me, right? You can't make me. What Father Moon did was he served them, even in an indirect way. He never cut on his principles. Never said, oh, okay, communism is okay. Can we come in now? No. He says, I hate communism. It's killing your people. I want to change you. But I love you. I love Russia. I love the Russian people. I want good for you. And, when I come, I'm not coming just to slander you. I'm coming to you because I want to help you. And with that genuine heart, Gorbachev and leaders could really feel that. Here's this number one anti-communist, this guy who, he's the bad guy who, big enemy of the Soviet Union, but he actually loves us. Now, can we do that in our lives? People in our lives that we have opposition to, and we maybe strongly disagree with them, some political side, there are all kinds of issues, gay marriage, there's all kinds of hot spot issues. Can we love people while we still disagree? Can we invest and care about people even though they disagree with us, even though they're our enemies? That's what Father Moon did. In our lives, this is the way we truly become peacemakers. We bring harmony in relationship by loving the other so that they can genuinely feel that respect and love coming from us. Well, voluntary surrender. So if we're genuinely going to become peacemakers, it means we have to genuinely love our enemy, the person we're in conflict with. We need to bring that harmony, and through understanding, by having a good divine principle perspective, by being strong, doesn't mean giving up your principles, but it means loving, coming with a heart of love. But finally, having that headwing ideology, Godism, that parental heart, that parental perspective, with everything that we do. The parents want the kids to come together. The parents want the kids to be happy and fulfilled. Parents love the children and are doing what they're doing for the sake of their children. Right? This is the genuine parental heart. This was Father Moon's heart in all these activities. Even us as parents, we struggle, we go up and down. But our heart is we always want the best for our kids. And without love, that respect, and that care, that parental heart, then we get obedience not because I'm going to punish you. Again, young kids that can't understand, you start there. But once they're old enough and become mature, they obey you because they love you. They obey you not because they're afraid of being punished. They obey you because they love and respect you as their parents. So if we become people who love and respect others with that kind of parental heart, then people are willing to respond and receive from us. So here's how Father Moon describes the challenge that we face. Communism is an ideology of servants and masters. There's no freedom in that world. Democracy, however, is based on a philosophy of brotherhood. Thus, everyone has freedom to pursue self-interest. And as a result, actually, they're constantly fighting each other, each claiming to be superior than the other. You know how brothers, can fight a lot like that? In contrast, Headwing thought is based on a parent-centered ideology. Aren't senators and clashing with congressmen and Republicans conflict with Democrats? That's because they don't have parents. Once the parent emerges with a higher perspective, and then the parent comes and reprimands them, saying, "You scoundrels! Why are you fighting? Come on, kids! Why are you fighting? You're not servants. You're all our children." Then everything will be resolved. Because the environment of love is what brings that healing. The environment of love is the key. So, let's be those genuine peacemakers. The communists, so, let's have a clear understanding of divine principle of Godism, the highest perspective. Let's stand strong, in our perspective. It doesn't mean we need to ever, mince words or hide what we believe. But the goal is not just to force our perspective on people, but to win their willing acceptance, their voluntary acceptance through love and having that parental heart in all that we do. Please join me in prayer. Father, Mother God, thank you so much for your precious love. And over these last 40 days, we've been exploring in depth your son, our founder, Father Moon, his life, and the many accomplishments and activities of his life. And as your sons and daughters, we want to follow that kind of example of being people of true love, being genuine peacemakers, maybe not at the international world level, but definitely at the level of our family, in our relationship with our friends and our neighbors, in our relationships in our community, and the people that we interact with. Heavenly Parent, help us to become those genuine people who genuinely love and care about people, even the people that we disagree with. That, Heavenly Father, we can bring harmony and unity through not force, but by genuine love and understanding. Thank you so much for your love, for your presence in our lives, and as your sons and daughters, we determine ourselves to be people, genuine peacemakers that you can work through in this world. Thank you, and together we offer this prayer. Amen and adieu. Okay, thank you everyone for your patience, a long talk. But please, let's look at being a peacemaker. God bless.